Oh, the smell of bacon.
Oh, making bacon.
Making bacon, absolutely. Yes, indeed. Do you know why I'm putting these glasses on?
Oh, it's hard to tell why you do things.
Because the other night you and I were recognized so many times at the gospel sing, for those of you who think we're heathens.
Right.
But I also want you to see what's written on the side of them. Where are we? Who's getting it? You are, Jim?
Number 3 is getting it.
No,
2, there.
If you'll stop directing, Johnson, I think we'll get it here. Look for me on TV.
Oh, too much. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Larry and I went to the Bill Gaither and Friends concert.
It's true. We have
Saturday
witnesses, hundreds of witnesses who came by and said hello to us.
It was unbelievable. Another unbelievable thing was I picked up the tickets at the Civic Center, and they came in a Calvin Klein envelope that had a sniff strip in it. It was just outrageous. Women decorously laid out over a table, and men undressed, and it was just terrible. You know, this Calvin Klein is a little racy for Bill Gaither, but I guess they had the envelopes left, and they had to use them.
Speaking of
you
Calvin,
got a thread hanging on your glasses.
Speaking of Calvin the Witch.
Oh, boing.
I bet you didn't know the witch had a name. Well, it's not Calvin. Here. Oh, okay. Says here. It's mighty dark in here.
Oh, take your glasses off, fool.
Okay,
you'll get bacon grease on them anyway.
Dear young men. Ooh, I haven't had anybody call me that for roughly 20 years. I am 75 years old, and I can't make a biscuit. Every time I try to make one, they come out like little lumps of concrete. This reminds me of Tootsie's biscuits. She was a great bread baker, but all of her biscuits came out of those things you break open, bust open, you know, from the store. What am I doing wrong? I'm afraid Big Billy, my current husband, will divorce me if I don't learn soon. Big Billy says he just don't feel right if he don't get a hold of a biscuit in the morning. Thank you kindly, Big Mama Hoback of Lockjaw, Texas. What's it mean?
Well, we
are going to do biscuits.
And I'll tell you, folks, this is the honest-to-God truth. Larry and I, neither one can make a biscuit. I have never made a decent biscuit. My grandma, the sainted Connie Hodges Bond, made them 3 times a day, many days during the winter.
Well, that's the problem. People don't make them enough. You got to make them a lot. You got to practice. And if you don't do that, you just don't do it. Although Mr. Johnson has shown me his, and they are right impressive. I am impressed. Well, I want to show them something. Now, I know you're not going to say anything about this, but I just think this is wonderful. And give me that other piece there, too.
Well, this was my mama's rolling pin.
I knew you were going to say that. Tootsie. Now, you know, I got hers, and hers are red here, and I'll bring it in occasionally. And then here's a nice little, I'll bet that's an antique, too.
It is. It belonged to my late Aunt Rowena.
Well,
a tough cookie, and it was an antique because she was an antique herself.
Well, I'm glad to see you got something. It's a private joke. Anyway, it isn't very funny either, I might add. Well, we're going to do, even Doris is tickled about that.
Wait a minute, before we do it, we've been waiting to do this all season.
Yes.
And they just now, they're so humble around here, they just now got ready to do it. We thought that we should show you who all these people are that we talk about.
Behind the scenes, the gum crackers, the sneezers, the scratchers.
So we finally sent a camera out, and that's Big Jim Hammerstrom that has the bubble gum.
Well, it looks like that if they were really important, they could have put their names underneath them. Now he goes twirling out, and there's Gertrude Lipmore.
That's Susan. No, wait a minute. Is that Robin Reed, and there's Susanna.
Oh, Susanna. Won't you cry for me? She looks real pretty.
Robin is an intern with us, and there's Andre Burris, who wrote the music that you hear.
And he's also way up above us whenever you see a startling overhead shot.
Boy.
And he's also the great sneezer in the bunch. Whenever you hear a lot of sneezing going on. And then way back in the room behind
Mike
us.
Christmas Carol.
That's Mike Carroll, that's right. Look at him.
Sound technician.
Well, he looks like he knows what he's doing, but he really doesn't.
Usually does.
And then, Miss Carroll, the lovely Miss Carroll, who is, look at that, she's shocked.
She's been with us for years.
She punched up a camera, and there she was. And now back to us. And I think that's real clever, too, the way she, did the little thing there, joystick. Well, anyway, and this is us. And then you've met Doris. We'll make Harold come out after a while.
Yeah.
Harold's going to come out with Doris today. That's
all right. Now, let me just tell them what I'm going to do. and then you can take it from there, because mine is real easy.
Oh, okay.
These are called Snow Biscuits, and they were sent in by Dolores Snow.
Oh, come on.
I'm not kidding, of Ewing, Virginia. So these are Dolores's Snow Biscuits.
Well, it's a good thing her name wasn't
And
Dolores Nutley.
we take 2 cups of flour and add self-rising flour, and you add a cup of heavy
I'm going to need a plate.
whipping cream, and mix that all together. And that's the whole recipe, folks. Let me go over it again. 2 cups of flour and a container, 8-ounce container of whipping cream. That's all. And make sure you use a flour that's suitable for biscuits. If you look in your grocery store, you'll see biscuit flour in most places in the country. And this is self-rising biscuit flour. So if you do that, I'll go on and take it from there while Larry does a lot of complicated stuff.
Well, this is an interesting recipe, and I like it an awful lot. I don't make good biscuits, and today my biscuits are, just as tall as they were when I cut them. Thank heavens, I cut them real thick. But I had some of them yesterday, and they're not the prettiest things in the world, but you know, they're still real good. Mine is bacon cornmeal biscuits, and I'll tell you, they have a wonderful texture to them. The first thing, obviously, that you have to do, interesting, this recipe, because it has bacon crumbled up in it, and it also has just a little bit, just a touch of red cayenne pepper and a little bit of brown sugar. Don't you think that's interesting? Johnson was talking about what you get. We all three of us today have different brands of cornmeal and biscuit mix and flour. It's very important that you start out with fresh ingredients, and so even though this is not the most cost-effective way of going about buying this, I frequently buy it in this tiny size because you want to keep it fresh. I would rather go to the grocery store more often and buy these and keep them fresh than just go once in a while and have them go bad on me. So this thing starts out, you start out by mixing your first 4 ingredients. I got to watch my bacon here. I got it turned up right high. You got to get it real crisp because you're going to have to crunch it all up into little crunchy things, and be very careful. I'm poking around on this no stick with a fork, and I know there will be no stick fork people who will write letters, and just get over it. Okay, you start out with the first 4 ingredients. And here's something that Mr. Johnson has taught me in 17 years on Cookin Cheap. He has taught me to use these. I have hundreds of Tootsie's old clothespins. Never knew what to do except put them on my nose when I was cooking. But now I've discovered a whole new way of handling this. You start out with the dry ingredients first. 1 1/4 cups of self-rising flour. 1 1/4 cups. And people are running just scurrying. I fear that I have done a poor job of telling the help what I needed in preparation.
You know, isn't it nice to know that at the age of 113, Doris can run that fast?
Wish you could have seen her go across. And Harold, too, both of them foxtrotting across the studio. Okay, 1 1/4 cups of self-rising flour. Puts you right about there. Boom. And a cup of self-rising cornmeal, and that cornmeal gives this such an interesting flavor and consistency. And you know, we have so many consistency fanatics around here. Johnson won't eat beans because the consistency's bad. And I have a friend that practically won't eat anything, including lobster meat, because it has a strange, grainy consistency. I don't know what it is with people in food consistency. Never has bothered me too much at all. I'm going to turn that off because I think it's right about where we need for it to be. That's 2 ingredients. Then to that we need to add a tablespoon of brown sugar. Sugar. Oh, I fear this stuff has gotten hard on me. How much? A tablespoon. I'm going to add just a little. That was not a completely full one.
How much was that?
That was 1 tablespoon of brown sugar and 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, red pepper.
Ooh.
And I don't have 1/8 here, but I'll tell you, it's about that much. Not much, just a little bitty thing. And what you do then is just take that and stir it around and get it all stirred up real good. All your dry ingredients should be stirred thoroughly before you start doing anything else. It would be a good idea, by the way, at this point, to have your margarine setting out so it softens up a little bit. And we're going to, here in a couple of minutes, add all of our other ingredients to it. Johnson?
All right. Now, I've mixed up my flour, my 2 cups of flour, and my cup of whipping cream into this bowl, and it's right crumbly. But I'm going to dump it out onto this floured surface right now. We'll get rid of the bowl. We don't need you anymore, Mr. Bowl. And we're going to grab all of this into a lump.
I looked. It was Mrs. Bowl.
Oh, give me a break. All right. Now, you get it in a big lump, a big wad, and you have to knead it 10 times. So I'm going to knead it. And 2.
And knead it. And knead it some more.
3. Oh, Lord, I may have to get Doris coming.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you have to knead it every hour?
5.
Doris thinks I'm
6.
funny. Johnson thinks I'm mildly amusing,
7.
and the camera crew doesn't get me at all.
Oh, I'm tired. Oh, all right. That's
You're
7,
tired?
8.
Well, do you need a stand-in kneader?
No.
Where's that
9.
stand-in
Just
kneader?
1 more, and I'll be. Oh, it's about all I can take with my bad heart.
Bless
Thank
your
you so
heart.
much.
And I mean that literally. Bless your heart.
All right. Now, when you get it to this size wad and you kneaded it 10 times, you roll it out, and folks, you start in the middle and roll to the outside. And Larry, it's going to take me a while to roll this out, so if you've got anything you want to show the folks.
Now, I have taken my bacon off,
back off.
And see, that's real crumbly. Let it cool just a little bit, and we'll crumble it all up, and you got to crumble it real fine, because you don't want to get somebody to get a big old piece of that and put their false teeth out with it, okay? Mr. Johnson, I'd be real careful. He does not have false teeth. But I think he does have a couple that are unreal, so I don't want to put those things out. Now, the next thing we need to do is to cut in our margarine, and it calls for about 3 tablespoons. Would you say that's about 3 tablespoons, Doris? Doris is dubious. She's not sure. She says from where she is, it looks about like 3 tablespoons. Does that look like 3 tablespoons, Steve? Would you know 3 tablespoons if you saw it?
2.5 or 3.
This thing has teaspoons on it, but I can't figure out how many teaspoons go into a tablespoon.
3.
3?
There are 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon.
That looks to be about that many. So anyway, we take that and cut it into there. I'm going to cut this and literally cut it in, because I want to cut these into smaller pieces. And then I'm going to crumble it all up with my hands at this point. You just can't avoid getting in there with your hands. Are you figuring that out, Doris? Well, well, mine doesn't have it that way.
Yes, that's yours.
Oh, that's mine. Thank you, Doris, for making a complete fool of me. I appreciate it. I couldn't find it. I don't know what. Perhaps it was my glasses that I didn't have on at the time, which you'll notice, have never worn on the air. But if we make it to another season, Johnson and I will have to wear them the next time. I promise you that right now. Now, what you got to do is get this down to sort of a crumbly consistency. So just sort of run it through your fingers and work it all the way through there, and in a couple of minutes we'll put all of the liquid in. Johnson, go ahead.
Okay, well now I'm taking Rowena's biscuit cutter, and you can buy these at any good department store, or you can use a jar or a tin can or a glass.
Just think of Rowena when you're cutting.
Oh, I am. And you lay them out, and they're a little less than a ½ inch thick. And this is all you do. You just cut them out, and we're going to put them on a pan eventually. What is Doris doing back there? She makes me so nervous, because you just know she's up to no good.
She's getting ready for her new TV show. She hasn't told us about it yet. She's practicing in the background while we're not looking.
And I understand it's better if you don't twist, just push down and pull them out, and there it is. It falls out, and here the biscuits are, and you're going to bake them at 450 degrees. That's a right quick oven for 10 minutes. And I will show you in just a minute. Oh, now you got the flour all over it. Now, you know what you do with the scraps. You mix them all up, and then you pat them out, and you put sugar and butter and cinnamon on it and roll it up into a roll. So that's what you do, and I don't have enough time to do it today. And then you put them in the oven, and let me pull them out.
Oh, caught me trying to do something here.
here they are, just as pretty as a picture.
Aren't they beautiful?
Yeah, they are.
I've never seen you make biscuits. Why don't you make biscuits that good when I come to your
I don't
house?
know. I guess I've just lost the
He's
energy.
lost the energy and
Lost
the
it.
touch. At this point now, I need to add all my liquids plus my bacon. That's a half a cup plus 3 tablespoons of buttermilk, and they're just real severe about it. Half a cup plus 3 tablespoons. There's the half a cup, and then here comes the 3 tablespoons. And believe it or not, you really do need it. 1, 2 and a half. I better be a little careful if I overdo it. Toots used to call that drowning the miller. Where's my fork?
Drowning the miller.
Yeah, as in the miller, the guy that mills the stuff. You know, they used to make these things at mills back in the old days. So we're going to add all that, and I think that's all the ingredients. And I also will need, as soon as I get this where it needs to be, the right consistency. I may have to add just a little bit of buttermilk. This is buttermilk, by the way. Did I tell you that? Did I say it was buttermilk? Comes from a buttermilk cow. There are only a few of them left in the world, a buttermilk cow. While I'm doing this, why don't we go to the Cook Sisters?
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then we'll
Are they
review
here
some
today?
recipes. Yes, they are here. Absolutely, they are. I'm going to add some, I'm going to crumble up my bacon.
Oh, the Cook Sisters
couldn't
are
make
not-
it. No, they
couldn't
couldn't make it for the last
Well.
show. They said they didn't want to appear with all that other gang.
Ah.
So anyway, well, why don't you review your recipe, Josh? Oh, you already have.
I already
haven't you?
have.
Well, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about any of this.
Well, just take
I
the
can't
time.
do that in this too, so I need to add just a wee little tiny bit more. Not much, just a wee little bit. I'm working this into the right consistency now. And you don't want to mess with it too much. You mess with it too much, you're in trouble. Why don't you read my recipe while
All
I'm
right.
getting this where
I'll
it
be
needs to
delighted
go,
to.
so we can get one thing out of the way.
Of course, I don't have my glasses. So Harold made
This
me
is really sad. And now
We'll
you
get
need
it
to
together.
dust off your area
All right,
so that you can roll
bacon
it out.
cornmeal biscuits. 1 1/4 cup self-rising flour, 1 cup of self-rising cornmeal, 1 tablespoon brown sugar, 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground red pepper, 3 tablespoons of margarine, 3 slices of bacon fried and crumbled, 1 1/2 cups plus 3 tablespoons of buttermilk,
All right.
and 2 teaspoons of self-rising flour and vegetable cooking spray. And that's all the ingredients there are.
Okay, here we are. I have rolled this out, and using the stand-in Laban Aunt Rowena cookie thing, I have to do the same thing. At this point, I have to take a nose stick. Where is it? It's backwards. And put a little bit of, bless your heart, we finally got a sneeze out of someone else on the staff today. And spray that real good. Heat up your oven to 400 degrees. It's only going to go 15 minutes, and this yields 15 big biscuits, and as you can see, these are mighty pretty, mighty lovely, and move them pretty fast. I'm only going to put 4 in there. Don't have time to mess with anything else. Well, I don't know, maybe I can get all of them in there. Let me try. Mine did not yield as many as they say it should. What does that mean, Mr. Johnson?
I don't know.
Didn't begin
They're
to
rolled
yield.
out mighty thick.
Well, it says roll them out a 1/2 inch thickness.
Well, that's you got about an inch thick there.
Well, sorry about that. But anyway, I need to put this under the broiler, and I'll be right back. That's it for me. Do something, lady,
Well, let me
Try and
have Aunt
fill.
Rowena's
if you don't mind. Let's
biscuit
get,
cutter back, because I don't want her to come back and haunt either one of us.
Well, if you move
She
over,
haunted us while she was alive. Oh, here's Doris.
really did. The very lovely Doris is coming in. Come on in here, Doris. How you doing? Nice to see you. Welcome.
Hi.
Oh, where's Harold? Harold,
Come on.
we got to get Harold in here too. We got to get the other 3/4 in here. You notice I didn't say your
important
other
half.
half. How you doing, Harold? You know, Harold, you put up with a lot, don't you?
Not really.
But she's a wonderful lady, isn't
yeah,
she? What would we
she's
all
all right.
do without her?
I'd be lost. I'd probably be dead.
We'd be lost without Harold, too. He sits behind the cameras and helps us out. Thanks a lot.
Hi. I had to do a pumpkin scone today, and it took two tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of sugar, a 1/2 cup of mashed pumpkin, 1 egg well beaten, a 1/2 cup of milk, and 2 1/2 cups self-rising flour. And you cream your butter and sugar. You add your pumpkin, add the eggs, add your milk slowly, add your flour, and knead lightly on a floured board. And it is very sticky. The dough is very sticky. And you bake it in the oven
In fact,
for
there's
20
still
minutes.
a little bit of it stuck to
Really?
it.
And it's a very, it doesn't look like a regular biscuit because these are scones. And scones are,
More like an English muffin.
yeah, and it's a firmer thing. And you usually use it for tea, if we had some tea here or something. And this has a very mild taste. We tried them yesterday while they were warm. And I think you could still put butter and jelly or something on them, even though they have pumpkin. And we thought they were quite good.
Well, do they
And
taste like pumpkin or do they taste like biscuits?
it's a mild pumpkin taste. It's not overpowering. I thought it would be very overpowering, but it's not. It's very good.
And how many does it yield?
Well, I have about 14 of them in here.
Hmm.
And I cut them small because with a scone, you don't want them too big, I didn't think. You know, it's more like a tea type thing.
If you rolled the scraps of mine out, it would serve maybe 8 or 10 biscuits.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I had done mine just a little thinner, perhaps I could have gotten more than the 6 out of it. But anyway, Phil.
All right. Well, I need to get mine out the oven because I warmed them up. Larry put his under the broiler.
I did indeed, and it's going to be a while till they come out.
Well, you know,
It'll
that's
be
the
about
right thing.
15 or 20 minutes. I hope you all got a little time, do you? Did I review mine? Oh, you reviewed
Yeah,
mine.
I did it for you.
just
Oh,
so
the boy
confused.
is such
I
a
don't know
mess
what to do
today.
with myself.
It's
I really
terrible. Well,
don't.
let me get mine out of the
I
oven.
come from a long line of great bread makers. Bread, not biscuits, and there's a very big difference. Here in the South, if you don't eat biscuits, you may as well just move. Because everybody down here eats biscuits. It wasn't until I came. Actually, we didn't even eat an awful lot in Northern Virginia. I didn't really start eating a lot of biscuits till I came down here. And we have some mighty fine biscuit-making places here in the South. I'll just tell you that right now. How are they looking, Johnson? Well, look
Beautiful.
at them. He has done it again. Oh, that's the same ones he put in a while ago.
Yes.
Well, they are pretty, and they have risen up mighty fine. Mighty
Well,
fine.
I'm going to take them over to the table along with my
Well, I may as well get
cup of
these out.
water.
I may as well get these out. But as you can see, mine are just huge. They're just enormous.
Fat
I
biscuits.
certainly hope that we can eat those. But they are pretty. I mean, they really are real pretty. I
Did
was
you
just
bring
browning
some
them
jelly?
a little bit on the top. Did you bring some jelly? She has forgotten to bring the jelly. Do we have butter over here?
Yes.
I certainly hope so.
And, oh,
Biscuits, biscuits, biscuits. Here, have some butter.
thank you. You know, my legs are just hurting today. I think it's going to rain tonight.
Have you ever seen more beautiful biscuits in your life in one spot? Now, these really are pretty. They're sort of small, but they are pretty, and they are very, very flavorful. Now, stop laughing. You know I can't make a biscuit. I try. This is the biggest biscuit I've ever made, this one right here in the middle. And I think it's because I cut it 2 inches thick. Compared to Mr. Johnson's. His, in fact, could eat my biscuit, as you can see. They're old cold biscuits.
Let me
Take an
have a
old cold
scone.
biscuit and wait. Well, you've got to try the scone.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll try yours. I've already tried mine.
You know,
and I must say
mine
it's a great recipe.
mine was delicious when they were hot. Biscuits don't hold.
No, they
You-
don't.
you
You got to
can't-
eat them right out. There's no way you can prepare them in advance. What do you think of that scone?
Scone is good.
Your biscuit is wonderful.
Well, I think
That's a good basic biscuit.
it would be a lot better if it was hot.
Oh, well, of course. And if we
fresh
had
out.
some other stuff. You tried mine yet?
No.
What, are you avoiding it? Mm-hmm. He's afraid he's going to crack a tooth on one of those bacon things. That's real bacon in there, folks. Tastes mighty
Well, I
good.
just want a little pinch. I don't want it to stop up the last remaining artery in my heart.
heaven's sake. I was with you Saturday night on the way to the gospel singing. I don't think that little wad's going to hurt you any worse than what you had Saturday night. No, actually, he had seafood. He behaved himself. What do you think of that?
The seafood was wonderful. Oh, you mean the biscuit? The biscuit is good, too.
You
The
just-
biscuit, I think, would have been better if you'd cut it thicker or thinner.
Well, then they would only been a ½ inch thick
Well,
because they didn't rise. Now, why didn't they rise? Everything was fresh.
I don't know. You know, when you buy that flour from that store you've been
No,
getting it at,
no,
it might
no.
have been on the shelf for 3 years.
No. Because I was going to make this, I went to one of the highfalutin stores that turns over their stuff real fast. I didn't go to that low-down store that I usually go to.
Well,
But anyway, well, I think they're all good biscuits.
They are, and you would be well advised to use fresh ingredients. That is the truth.
Absolutely, absolutely. And come back sometime when you can have biscuits.
And we'll see you the next time on Cookin' Cheap, and write to us if you can.
Bye.